Hello Aquarians, this is Sherry with True Tarot for today, and I'm going to be giving you your monthly forecast. This is a general reading, a zodiac spread for May 2019. Okay, it covers all of the houses, and so we're going to start with your first house in the zodiac. This represents how the world sees you, and for the month of May, they may see that you might have had an illness. You might have had a situation where you felt tied or chained down to someone or something. And so the world is not seeing you in your usual happy-go-lucky self. They're seeing that, you're dealing with an attachment, a mild case of the blues, or, there's someone or something in your life that seems to be chaining you down or holding you back, and you're going to have a sense of frustration. Now, for some of you, you may actually be quitting a bad habit. This card can also represent, smoking, drinking, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And so if it's not a relationship that's sort of keeping you bound, it could be any situation, but you're not going to feel like totally fancy free and afoot for the month of May. In your second house, you have an ending card in your money house. So for some of you, you might have ended an investment. This could be the end of, your tax return, cashing out your 401ks. This is the card where something related to your money comes to a conclusion or an end. And I don't think all of you are happy about this end or conclusion. For some of you, hopefully it wasn't like a drop in value with something you invested in. But, in any area with your money right now, many of you Aquarians are going to be feeling like you didn't have support, or you didn't have the support you needed, and you might have suffered some loss or ruin in your financial sector because you were going it alone and others really weren't there to help you. Okay, now in your neighborhood, this represents your environment. It represents siblings, cousins, neighbors, and it can be online communication because now there's like a social circle online, and there can be, things like Facebook and these media platforms where you can engage with other people. That's kind of another environment. And someone is holding the victory card. So many of you may know someone who's starting something up and who has ambition. They want to meet the challenge. They have a lot of energy. It's usually of a mental nature. So, Aquarians, you can understand that. You're very intellectual and you're ruled by the head. So this new start will probably excite you because your first two cards here are showing that you've been tied down, or you felt blocked or stopped, in some way. And so this new energy is very positive because it's going to bring you enthusiasm and energy. And for some of you, it could be even a neighbor that is starting a business or winning a lawsuit. It could be someone having a challenge and they achieved it, some kind of victory. And again, maybe the birth of a child or the initiation of some new project. In your home, you have the ambition card and the travel card. So some of you Aquarians might be moving home, or you just moved home, or, were on a trip and came home. This is the card of travel and moves. And so some of you may still be traveling or moving in the month of May. This is the card of also ambition and drive. And so, even though right now, you're kind of feeling a case of the blues here, you do have ambition in your home, or you're going to be traveling or making plans to move or to travel, either to a new home or to some vacation spot. New relationships, I consider them the last 3 years if they're romantic, and it also represents children and pets in this day and age. And so, you have a justice card here, and usually this is about a decision being made. And for many of you, if it's about a new relationship, unless they've just finalized a divorce and now you can see them, this can also be just, a conclusion, like kids that finished school and got their degree, and you make a final decision on what your support is going to be for the kids. If it's anything to do with a legal situation, it seems like it's coming to a conclusion, and the decision will be fair, and you may be the one making the decision, because Aquarius, again, it's the suit of swords. Justice is holding a sword, and that's an air sign. So some of you may be making a decision about continuing to see someone new that you've met in the last 3 years, or just kind of moving on and, cutting off the relationship. Okay, in your 6th house, this represents your work, and it also represents your health. And this is the card of getting good advice, counsel, and wisdom. So many of you may be advice givers, and in your capacity within your jobs, and no matter what profession you're in, people are seeing you as pretty wise, and they're seeing that you take the time and you counsel people, you give them the best advice you can. And this can span in any profession, but this is the energy, or your energy, in the month of May, and how people are going to see you. If it's regarding your health, it's saying that you would have a good doctor who would understand your situation, your medical situation, and be able to counsel you and advise you, wisely, of what action to take or not to take regarding your health. Now, in your partnership house, one of your partnerships is coming to a conclusion. This is, again, a graduation card, a sense of completion. So, it could be like one of your kids is graduating, and then, you feel they're on their own now. Relationships can be anyone. They can be business associates. There could be a business contract that's, reached its fulfillment, and you've done all you can do, and it's basically now not your baby anymore. Any relationship you're in, there will be decisions or final conclusions, made either by you or the other person. And sometimes, it's just a decision on maybe how you're not going to invest your money, how you are. It doesn't have to necessarily be a decision about the relationship itself. It can be just that one of your partners is finishing a cycle, and they've done everything they could, and they're moving on to something new and something different. And so one of your partnerships, whether that's business, family, children, love, they have graduated and they're ready for a new phase in their lives. Okay, in your 8th house, this represents your bedroom, your intimate life, and it also represents shared resources. And so you have the position of holding your own and having the control and not letting anyone kind of cross your boundaries or step on your turf. So it's a little defensive, this card. So if you're in a sexual relationship, you may be a little more defensive and irritable than usual, because this is the card where sometimes you feel that you have to defend your space and your turf, and so in some way, you may not be feeling great. You have this, devil card in your 1st house. Some of you may be dealing with a mild illness, and so you're kind of not the usual, loving self, and you need more space and time to rest. And so in the bedroom, you're just kind of keeping, your space. Uh, you don't want to be made a lot of overtures, I'm going to say, in the month of May. You're just, not feeling outward going this month. And then if it's anything to do with shared resources, you feel like you've worked hard to get where you are, and, you're not going to give anyone any ground, into what is yours. It's a very defensive mode, and you would be willing to fight, to have and maintain and keep what's your own, or what you believe is your own. Now, in your ninth house, this is education, travel, higher education, and publishing. You have the innocence and the memory card, the sentimental card. This is the card of when you're little and there's no agendas. It's a very sweet relationship. So if you're traveling, many of you would be going to see family or a childhood friend or someone you knew from college. There's just a lot of memories and sentimental feelings. If it's publishing, anything to do with, children's books would do really well, or educating children. Higher education, the same thing, counseling children, physical therapy for children, pediatrics, um, anything to do with children would be a very successful career down the line for a lot of you. And then if it's a lawsuit, it would be over children or custody, who's getting the children, when, who's paying what. And that could explain why some of you are a little, defensive here in the shared resources area. You want, what you believe is fair. Okay, in your career house, you have the strength card. So this is how the world sees you in your career. And they see you as powerful. They see you as a person that has a lot of self-control. And they also see you as someone who has wisdom, not just in giving advice, but in how you take care and handle all things. This is the card of emotional, mental, and spiritual strength. And so you're very good at taming the lion, which means if any of you have unhappy or unruly customers or colleagues or clients, you're the one that can calm them down and troubleshoot the problem and make everyone happy. In other words, the diplomat. You're very good at that, Aquarius. But everyone is seeing you strong in your career, and that's a nice thing to have the world see you that way. Okay, in your 11th house, this is your house of friends. A lot of them are going to be going through changes and transformations, and your friendships may change and transform. This is a card of creative evolution and maturity, and so some of your friends may be growing up, they might be settling down, they might be taking on more responsibility. Some of them may be evolving, in their careers. But it is a card where you might also feel that you've outgrown certain friends. We're not always what we were, 10 years earlier. We don't necessarily have the same taste anymore. And although in your travel house, you do have the looking back and the sentimentality and, from your youth, this is about maturing and changing in your tastes. And so some of your friends may change this month, Aquarians. You may meet some new people that will be welcomed into your circle. And you may also let go of some that really you're not connected with anymore. Like you might be going through the motions because your first house shows you're attached to something that you've outgrown. And for Aquarians, your friendships are a big part of your life. And so, that might surprise you, but you might actually be outgrowing some of your friendships. And then finally, in your 12th house, this is a karmic house. It's a house where you don't always see clearly what's going on. Some people consider it your undoing or how you sabotage yourself. And you have the card of disappointment here. So many of you Aquarians had high expectations for something or someone, and you're disappointed and you feel let down. And you'll have to decide, who this individual is or what's disappointing you, because the 12th house, it's always hidden. But it's saying that you haven't mastered disappointment yet and letdowns. Like you may appear that you're gracefully accepting them or going through the transitions, but on a deeper level, you're not. You get profoundly shaken or rocked or troubled when you're disappointed, when you see something or you have a desire for yourself or someone else and it doesn't work out. And so you're going to have to learn to live and move through certain disappointments emotionally that life, throws you. Aquarians are sometimes better at the mind stuff than processing emotion. But because you have this card here where people are seeing you're a little down about something, if you're not recovering from some kind of physical, situation which might have brought the blues on a little bit, there also could be a disappointment here that within one of your relationships or one of your dreams that didn't pan out, and you still yet to process the emotions from this disappointment. So May will probably be a month where you will get a chance to do that. And, your home looks good. You may be moving or traveling, so that's exciting. What I find interesting, Aquarius, about your reading is you have the major arcana cards on all the 4 cardinal points of your reading. You have attachment, which is opening up on your 1st house. Your 4th house is major arcana, the Chariot, which is about movement and travel and ambition and change. Then here in your 7th house, you have the Judgment card, which is a conclusion to something in one of your relationships. And then another major arcana card on the last corner of this, you have strength, about how the world sees you. So quite interesting that you have the major arcana cards on the 4 pivotal points. So I'm wondering if this is not a month where fate is going to play a hand, because it's generally an indication that, there's an element of fate, and you do have a significant amount of major arcana cards this month. Out of the 4, 8, out of the 12, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 6 major arcanas in a spread of 12, which is half, and that is significant. So this month, there may be some, elements of fate or destiny that are going to play out. And I wish you all a productive and happy month. If you'd like, please share, like, or subscribe my videos. And I will catch you back here next month with your next monthly reading. Take care, Aquarius.